Hi there, I'm Noel. Tomatoes, beautiful summer fruit. Most people love a good old homegrown tomato. Can't beat it. I would like to give you a step-by-step on how I've been growing them for 40 years with great success. Spring is such a lovely time of the year. The paddocks are yellow with canola, the weather's warming up, and this means it's time to prepare for your tomatoes. Let's go on a tomato growing journey. I'm just sowing my first seed for the season. The seed I'm using is big beef steak type of tomato, a beautiful tomato to eat. One of the best in the business, I think. And I'm using an Osmocote seed raising mix, which is supposed to be pretty good. So there's my first seed sown. Now we'll carry on and we'll sow some more, hopefully. And also I forgot, these seeds are disease resistant. So I'd advise anyone to use this type of seed. You don't need to worry too much having diseases, which is a great thing in tomatoes, or a bad thing. Yeah. Yes, so there we go, there's another one. Oh yeah, you must spray, keep them moist, don't let them dry out. You let them dry out, you mightn't have any, or mightn't do any good. So keep them nice and moist, don't overdo it. I got a little home-built hot house I put them in, and in a couple of weeks we should have some baby tomatoes coming up. I'm not very flash on punnets. I use just soup noodles, minute noodle punnets, or plastic cups I buy from Woolies. They cost nothing, and that's it. So I like to grow my own plants, because the ones you buy in nurseries, half their lifetime is already gone, because they plant them in the winter and they're laying in punnets then for months on end to be sown. So that's why I never buy plants from a nursery. Always grow your own plants, and I think you have a better success in your tomatoes. All right. Little hole. Don't sow them too deep. The depth you sow a tomato or a lot of little seeds, is about 2 or 3 times the size of the seed. That's all you have to do. That's circumference I'm talking about. The seeds are not very big. You can see how small they are. Yep, got him. There he goes, in there. Don't sow them over deep. Plenty of mice. Oh, by the way, lovely rainwater. So they've spoilt for a start. There. Now I've sown the seed in the punnets, as you can see. Now the next stage is to go to the hothouse. Now seeds need good warmth, plenty of warmth. Our springs here are not as hot as the northern part of the country, so I've made a home, as you can see, a home-built old hothouse, but it's served me for many years and still works. So I'm about to put these in, and then the next thing will be water. Now, you've got to keep them damp, not soaked, but damp, daily. You might do it, if it's really warm and gets over hot, I open the door of the hothouse, let a bit of air. They need air. Seeds need air to circulate. The air to circulate, rather. So, if it's warm, I may have to water with a very light mist 3-4 times a day. It doesn't matter, as long as they're damp. Now, I've got my punnets in the hothouse, as you can see, and I'm about to give them a nice mist water, not heavy. It's got to be a mist. So you do that way. Nice, fine mist. Now, this is a very good little spray for this sort of thing. Much easier, much quicker than a hand pumping one. Right. Now, I go to the next shelf. Right. Now, little babies, come on. I can really feel it warming up in here now. So this is good. This will bring the seed up. This will make them germinate. And that's what this is all about. I'm just going to give you an introduction into my ingredients, what I apply to the ground for growing my tomatoes with great success. Dolomite. One of the first things I add to my soil in preparations for my tomatoes. Dolomite is a form of calcium. Without calcium, the tomatoes can go rotten. It's called blossom end rot. And without calcium, it's like us without calcium in our bones, they will break. So this is the same thing that does for your tomatoes. This is another ingredient I use. It's dynamic lifter, or in other words, chook manure. Has a lot of good additives in it for your tomatoes, and I've been using it for many years, and I like it, and I think it does the job well. This one here is superphosphate, a very, very important ingredient to add to your ground very early in the season. The tomatoes love it. It creates good flower, good strong healthy spines, good root growth. Now this ingredient here is the final one. It is the multi-fertiliser, which just about covers everything in the ground. You must use this, otherwise there'll be a lot of things missing in the ground, in your soil, that it's not there. This takes care of it. 11 days has passed and my tomato seeds are germinating, and I have 2 little plants here to show you what they look like at a very young age. Now that the seeds are starting to germinate and that I'm sure that there's going to be plants, it's time to start preparing the ground. pegging the ground out makes it a little easier to know where your rows are going to be. I always allow a little extra bit of space between the rows. A small rotary hoe will do the job nicely, and an ideal time to do it is just after recent rain you may have had. But if you're not lucky enough to get the rain, a drip hose will moisten the ground and make the preparations a little easier. Preparing the soil is the next important step. The first ingredient to apply to the ground is dolomite. I spread it out lightly with my hands where each plant will be sown. You may want to wear gloves if you prefer not to get the dolomite on your skin. Superphosphate is the next thing to go into the ground as a part of the soil preparation. I sprinkle it out lightly with my hands, and again you may prefer to wear gloves. Well, I've just raked in the dolomite and the superphosphate. I'll leave that now for a week or two. The next thing to do is put your stakes in the ground near where each plant will be sown. I use a crowbar first to punch each hole, then ram the stake in with a bit of force to give it a good tight fit. Well, that's the end of the stakes. The reason I use stakes because the tomatoes I grow, they grow very tall and you have to support them. Now the stakes, you can pick them up at any hardware, I imagine, any like timber yard. And they always have a nice pointy end, so they're easy to get in. Now the next stage is to add the fertilisers. One I'm adding now is Dynamic Lifter. It's very good for the soil, and the tomatoes love it. Yes, it doesn't smell very good, but it does the job. And the final additive to the ground preparation is complete fertiliser. Again, use gloves if you prefer not to sprinkle it out with your bare hands. Well, my tomato plants are ready to transplant out after being in the hothouse, give and take a couple of months. Now they're ready to go out in the garden itself. I usually pull off any lower branches that may be in contact with the ground before transplanting. This helps to keep diseases out. Well, that's the last of the tomato plants. They're all planted out. Now it's just wait and see if we get a good crop, which I hope we do. It's very important to keep them nice and moist. The weather's warming up, we're getting hot. You may have to water 2 or 3 times a day. It just depends on how hot it gets. Must keep them moist. Tomatoes are a very thirsty fruit to grow. They love the water. They need the water. Depending on how big your crop is, it might be easier for you to set up a dripper system. This year's crop is only a small one, so I'm just using the hose. I'd prefer the hose in any case, as you can give the plants a really good drink. 6 or 7 weeks or so have passed now, and the plants have matured into vines. Apart from watering, there is some ongoing plant maintenance. I give the plants a good drink of liquid fertiliser every week or so. Liquid fertiliser is just a soluble powder dissolved in water. To put it simply, it's plant food with all the nutrients that the plant needs. Pruning is another ongoing job to be done. Not everyone prunes, but I prefer to do it. If you don't prune, then you're growing all vine and no tomatoes. Once the vine gets its very first flower, I leave the very first branch that comes out underneath that flower. It becomes my second runner. As the vine grows, I pinch out any other branches. The outcome from the pruning gives you a good quality fruit. As the plants start to grow taller, the vines need to be tied to the stake. This is an ongoing job while ever they are growing. The day has arrived, the first tomato picked for the season. Well, we've reached the end of our tomato growing journey. This is our finished product. I am about to taste it. A little salt, must have that little salt. Oh, magnificent. You just can't beat them. That is so delicious. If you're a keen tomato grower and you've had some problems in your past, I hope you may have picked up a little hints from me. So good luck.
Don't forget to press the subscribe button and also the bell to receive notifications of new videos.